Alrighty, welcome to Friday Fish Fry. Tonight, kind of a big deal. I have my first ever author on the stream, and he is a New York Times best-selling author. He has written all 8 of the Land and Sea books that have been published. There's more coming down the pipeline. He's written for Galaxy's Edge, he's written for Battletech, and probably a whole lot of other things that I'm not aware of. The guy's got quite the resume. Super appreciative that he came on my stream. I'm talking about Blaine Lee Pardoe. Let's get him on here. Let me see. Collab. That's the one I want. Sorry, guys. I'm still getting new at this. How do I click? Show on stream. Did I get it? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right. Game on.
Game on. Thank you so much for coming on. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I'm very appreciative that you came on here. This is awesome.
I always like a chance to talk about killing the fish.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've watched you in a few other streams with like Razor and Mage Leader, I want to say his name was.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
I know they're big Battletech guys. I don't know diddly squat about Battletech, so I'm just going to be talking about Land and Sea on this one.
That's fine. We'll talk about whatever you want. Everything's fair game.
Oh, looks like the chat can hear you. That's good. Last time I did a stream with a guest, they couldn't hear. Got it. I'm figuring things out. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot of questions to ask you, so hopefully I don't know if we're going to get through them all.
All right.
I put some feelers out in the Land and Sea Discord, and I don't know if you're going to be able to answer them or not. But one of the questions was kind of trying to touch on what the deal is with the factions with the fish. I don't know if you can elaborate on what's going on with those.
I can give you a high-level version of it, which is, what we learned after the attack on Greenland is that the fish are not a cohesive, united front against mankind, that there are distinct differences. Now, we've dropped hints about this even going back to the first books about different color schemes of different aliens. So on the West Coast, crabs appear a different color than they do on the East Coast and stuff. So the hints have been there all along, but really with the events in Greenland, you really get the vibe that, the fish aren't necessarily all on the same page. Now, will we be publishing anytime soon a map showing here's all the colonies and things like that. No, because the main characters don't know where all the colonies are,
Yeah.
etc. So you get the reveal slowly as we go through this. But yeah, every book we drop what I would say hints about stuff that's coming down the road in the future.
Sweet. Yeah. I was wondering because like before Tides of Redemption came out, there was like you said, the different colors on the crabs, and like the bosses had like different color, lightning bolts or whatever the flashing insignia is on their shoulders. So yeah, I was definitely curious about that, but like I said, I didn't know how much you're gonna be able to tell us on that one.
No, well, yeah, some of it is just differences in the species, and some of it is differences by the colony. So
Oh, okay.
it gets complicated. It makes things a little bit more fun when the miniatures come out because people will be able to paint them the way they want.
Yeah.
And right now, there's not going to be any restriction to that, so should be fun.
Sounds
I
good.
think
You got
fun
plans
for
you think in the
I don't know
future that's gonna be
else.
more clarified, I guess. Do
What?
you think in the future like the factions will be more
Oh yeah, yeah.
clear?
We're just not in a rush to kind of put everything on the table right now.
Oh, absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
and then the other question we got was what are your and again I don't know if you can answer this or not, but what are your plans for maybe I know we're on the defense right now, but maybe taking the fight to space and towards wherever the fish came from.
That has always been on the deck.
Okay.
And that has always been a part of the evolution of this. We are a long way from that. Um, there will be some stuff in book 9 because book nine's written.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some stuff in book 9 that will fill parts of that gap up for us. And there's some stuff that will long term uh, kind of kind of fill in some additional pieces of that puzzle. But right now, we don't have the tech to get there.
Yeah.
And as you know, we put one space platform up, and yeah, it got trashed pretty
It didn't
bad.
go well. Cool name though. I
Well,
mean, I like the whole, the name and the Thor and Mjolnir. I was digging it.
I'm having fun with that. It's hair raising what happens in book 9. Because I mean, we ended with kind of a cliffhanger with that.
Yeah. I noticed you guys. I know like Land and Sea. You guys are doing like the season. So book 9 is the end of season 2, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, it's the end of the season 2 trilogy.
Okay.
For the next probably 2 years, we're going to be writing things that take place in the second year of the war.
Okay.
Book 10 is done. It's been written by Declan Finn. It's called On Tiber's Edge. It is really cool. As far as books go, it's a lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
because it's about a whole different city that we haven't seen in any of the fiction. We've had kind of set aside. Declan wanted to write about. Declan does a lot of religious, paranormal, contemporary stuff, kind of like Harry Butcher and stuff. He does a lot of stuff like that, which he has an incredible knowledge of the Catholic Church, and we really wanted to show what is the church's response to an alien invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And we've dropped some hints at it in other books. We've had a couple call outs to them. Now you're really going to see what's going on. And there was some stuff Declan put in there that was so damn cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he because we have our first American Pope
Oh,
is
really?
running the church, and the guy comes from a warrior background. So, you know,
Is it
it, it,
Detective
it
O'Malley? Okay, what's his last name? Is it O'Malley? No,
no. Well, yeah, he
not
helped
him.
me with O'Malley's prayers. Actually,
Oh,
when I
cool.
wrote the prayers, I reached out to Declan to go, yeah, I got a Catholic character. What would as a police officer, what would his prayer be? And he goes, oh, I can get that for you and stuff.
Oh,
So
awesome.
this is really cool. You guys are going to love what he does with Chicago. What's coming down in Chicago is going to be just incredible.
That's where his book takes place.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I know you had the. I was just skimming through, kind of like cataloging Asher details just for myself, just for fun, and I got to
Everybody does.
the yeah, I got to the part where they're at the Vatican and it's like the lion heart, rigs
Oh
from
yeah.
Switzerland. So I was like, oh,
You'll
what?
you'll get to see more of that too. I mean, the name of the book is Tiber's Edge,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the Tiber River. So
Nice.
You get, at least with his cycle chapters, you're going to be seeing a lot of what's going on in Italy and the Vatican City during this.
Cool. Yeah, I'm pumped for that. I could use some Templar Ashers.
Uh, oh,
Yeah.
definitely. There was one where I was like, I really hope Brent picks it for the art,
Yeah.
because I was just like, the Pope in a special Asher rig all painted up. It's almost got a Warhammer vibe to it,
Yeah, for sure.
and there's a part of me that really wants to see that, but we'll see what Brent comes up with.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, it was actually one of the questions I had was about what Declan, because I saw you mention him on another stream, so I wanted to
Oh
talk about
yeah,
that.
he's done a great job with this book, and he's already chomping to do another one. So
Is it like
that's gonna be
Ratchet's
fun.
Run, where it's like a standalone?
Yeah, it's a complete standalone book. It's actually a good book if you haven't read any of the other stuff, because you can kind of jump in with this book. It
Mm-hmm.
starts actually prior to the invasion
Okay.
and goes up through it. And Declan has a real knack for dialogue and for pulling in various things and doing various factions. So if you think of Chicago as a big city, you got the mob, you've got the gangbangers, you've got the church, you've got all these elements. How do you pull all of that together into something cohesive? And he's come up with some brilliant ideas. I don't want to ruin it, but let's just say the Knights of Columbus kick ass.
That sounds sweet. Is there going
Yeah,
to be like a
in the
liberal
art.
faction?
Well, but we always look at the Knights of Columbus as these 70-year-old
Yeah.
guys, blah blah blah. But you got to remember there are millions of members of the Knights of Columbus, and there are militant factions within the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had an alien invasion, you would have the religions of the world trying to stomp that out, because it really calls into question their perception of God and
Yeah.
everything else. So it's really kind of fun to play with that. And a lot of alien invasion books, nobody touches the church.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go there. And we were like, no, that was always part of our plan. It was a matter of finding the right writer for it. And Declan is definitely that guy.
Yeah. Is is the I can't remember what they were called, but that like the cult that like worships the fish, are they gonna make an appearance?
They will appear from time to time. I've kind of got them as what I would call a running joke. Um, anytime I'm in California, that's an option.
Yeah.
They don't appear in book 9, but when we get to the sequel for Ratchet's Run, they will be appearing again. That's a
Okay.
definite yes.
Okay, so there's gonna be a sequel for. I mean, I know it's definitely set up. There could be one, so there for sure is gonna be a
Okay,
sequel.
I'm going to tell you this because I haven't written any of it. As you probably know, I'm older. So, yeah, I'm a child of the 70s and stuff, and I was raised on the war movies of that era. So you look at Ratchet's Run, and and I know it's Kelly's Heroes. It's and I don't even hide that. I'm out open and about it because it's an homage to that. It's very different, but at the same time, it's got that key element of a bank robbery in the middle of a war.
Yeah.
Love doing that.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite movies of all times is The Dirty Dozen. So, and I'm also a big fan of Escape from New York.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be things that I will be tapping into in some way, shape, or form for the upcoming book.
I'm gonna have to go watch those now so I can get a little bit deeper depreciation.
Oh man, Dirty Dozen's a great movie,
Yeah.
and Escape from New York, while cheesy beyond all description, there's an element of it. I was like, oh, I'm going to touch on that because it's fun.
Yeah.
Um, gotta have my fun. I'm like, you got to bear in mind, while I'm an old guy, I'm 62 years old. I'm also like a 10-year-old kid,
Yeah. Right.
and so I'm just having a good time.
Yeah.
And first of all, it pisses off everybody who dislikes me. Because they're like, "Oh, he's out there having a good time." They get some really upset.
It's ruining my good
Yeah,
time.
but for me, it's like, look, I write books that I would read, that I
Yeah.
would enjoy reading. Because I have to read them 5 or 6 times anyway, so I might as well write something that I really enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just finished. Not to, I guess, segue a little bit away from saying Land and Sea, but I just finished the opening trilogy to Galaxy's Edge, and I'm reading Lost Legion right now. I just got to the part where
Oh, cool.
the chick got her head blown off, and she's like having crazy trippy memories, super vivid. So that's where I'm at on that right now.
Oh, I enjoyed that book. That
Yeah.
is a fun book for me, and it's very standalone in the Galaxy's Edge
Mhm.
universe. And although Jason's told me we're ready for book two, so now I've got to figure out what direction I want to go with that. I've got like 6 pages of notes, none of which are cohesive to anybody but me at this point. So
Yeah. Is releasing your stuff in seasons, is that like a Wargate thing? Because I noticed Galaxy's Edge kind of does that too.
we stole that from them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not really stealing. You get down to it, they did it, and we looked at it and said that looks like something we should do.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when we hit season three, that will be the third year of the war.
Okay.
And there'll be a trilogy that ties all that together. There are certain characters that, in my mind, will always kind of carry through. Um, and they have to,
Yeah.
because this is really their story. All the other characters tend to be a little bit more, I don't want to say non-important, but they're more peripheral to the main characters.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character in Landon Sea?
Adam Kane.
Adam
Adam
Kane.
Kane, Adam Kane, Adam
Yeah.
Kane, Adam Kane.
Yeah. I would say he's my
I
favorite.
like I like Adam Kane because we're talking about somebody who executed a party store heist to get
Yeah.
spare parts for his
Yeah.
rigs. Uh, Adam Kane doesn't care about anything other than just fighting the war.
Yeah.
And he stomps all over officers right and left. Doesn't bother him because his whole thing is, I worked my whole life to get to this opinion. You guys were going to put me out, to the farm.
Yeah.
You had me on burial detail up in Arlington.
Yeah.
And then this war came, and now I'm like one of the more important guys here because you need the skills that I have.
Hmm.
I love a character that's been there and done that and doesn't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
And Kane's kind of weird because most of my characters have an evolutionary arc. Kane remains the same.
He's fully evolved.
Yeah, he is where he wants to be and where he needs to be, and you're going to get to see different sides and different aspects to him, in the various books. But in the end, he's still Adam Kane,
Yeah.
and that makes him very interesting. And there's some great scenes in book 9 with him. I just absolutely some of the more fun things I've ever gotten to write
Yeah.
in or are always Kane centric.
Right. I think the reason I like him so much is he reminds me of this old senior chief I used to have, and he would like tear your ass up if you weren't doing your job. But if you were a shit kicker, he would joke with you. He's funny as hell. But then he would also crawl up an officer's ass, like no questions asked, if the officer was out of line. So, yeah, his
Oh
name
yeah.
was Michael Boubion. Called him the Boobs. Great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you need guys like that. And I think I've known so many career military guys that, they kind of push out to pasture, and I'm like, they really shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
These guys still have a lot to offer.
Hmm.
And a lot of good friends of mine fall into that bucket. So
Yeah. Someone asked in the chat, and I also had it on my list to ask you, what are the plans for 2025 as far as like work wise or like book wise, and maybe I also was wondering any cons you got lined up.
all right. The cons are easy because I'm going to go to Liberty Con in Memphis. I haven't been before. I just want to go.
Hmm.
And a lot of guys I know are there, like Rick Partlow and stuff. And it's just a chance for me to network with them and talk on a couple panels. I'm also going to BasedCon. I always go to. Last 2 years I've gone to BasedCon because it's in Michigan, and I was born in Virginia, raised in Michigan. I'm back
Hmm.
in Virginia. So those are going to be it for me con wise this year. I've really trimmed back because it eats into my writing time,
Yeah.
and I actually enjoy doing that a little bit more than going to cons. Cons I always feel a little awkward going to. Um, I've chosen a profession that deliberately keeps me from interacting with people. So, it's just the way I am. In terms of where books are going to go, book 9 is done, as is book 10. Brent's reading book 10 right now, so we can get the tweaks over to Declan to do. I've already sent him one pass. Brent's going to send a pass. It'll probably take him 2 days to do the changes. It's
Okay.
not. It's like, here, we need a sentence here about this type thing. Um, so book 10 will be done, and book 9 is done, and Brent's got to read through that and give me his feedback, and that'll go through. We have another project which we haven't talked about much. We've hinted at it, which is the threat assessment. Um, that actually, I got back from the editor today.
Oh.
I got to get some feedback from Eric on it. It's not your typical book, and since you don't follow Battletech, you probably won't appreciate this.
Mhm.
One of the things that helped launch Battletech was having a tech readout, which is, here's pictures of the mechs, here's the stats,
Yeah.
and all the game stuff. We're doing a threat assessment from the ETF, and it has color pictures of all the aliens and tells you what they know about the aliens up through the first trilogy.
Oh, I like that.
And it's a short book. It's 24,000 words. It's got, for each alien, it's got feedback from after action reports from various guys, including characters from the novels, as well as some new guys. And it doesn't give you game statistics. When we finally do the game, all we have to do is plug in the statistics, and boom, this is done.
Yeah.
But it's a short book. Um, Really cool, because we've got art done for all the aliens, and I think that's going to be something. I think fans are going to want to score a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's going to be priced. I don't know how it's going to be laid out. We have some layout ideas for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Eric's going to be sharing a picture of the layout and for 2 pages of it to the guys that are on the Patreon sometime in the next couple days.
Okay.
So you'll get to see that. Next from Land and Sea from me will be, I've got a trilogy planned. We really want to have some entry points for people. It's really hard to go read these 9 books and you'll get
Yeah.
caught up. So we have a trilogy planned of novellas. They're short novels. They will probably get bundled at some point into a cohesive book, but I want to be able to release them as short novels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same characters throughout, kind of an entry level point that's not daunting.
Yeah.
It's, that was always part of the problem with Battletech, is people were like, where do I jump in? I want to know what's going on,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily want to read 122
Yeah.
books
Right.
to get to where that's at. Where can I start? So that's going on. There's some stuff I'm doing for the game, like the universe primer. I am working on a book of Oshers, where we will have the Oshers, what they're armed with, artwork for each of them, kind of like the tech reouts, but we're going to be doing them very differently. So like, literally the part I'm working on right now is I have a layout of the cockpit of a standard Lion, and I'm telling you what every button and switch does.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that, in other words, it's kind of like, this is your first day at the Osher school, and this is your intro to how an Osher actually works. So we're going
Yeah.
to go through how the armor works, how the emergency systems work, blah, blah, blah. Really give that, and then show the details of various Oshers. The problem is it takes a while to get those 3D models done and
Yeah.
done right. The good news is when we get them done, they're actually ready to be made into miniatures. So we actually have we've probably got 5 or 6 that are done,
Oh, nice.
which is, because we used a 3D model for the Seawolf and the Honey Badger for the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So we gave the artist the 3D model, so he just literally posed the Osher and then was able to draw it,
Yeah.
which really is cool. The comic is really, all the pages are black and white. The black and whites are done, and they're being inked as of last week.
Nice. Is it?
So after that comes lettering,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's out. And we've already gotten the outlines for the second and third graphic novels in the series, so that'll be going on.
Rad.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot. tons of fun stuff. And then obviously the follow up to Ratchet's Run, which I talked
Mhm.
about, will drop. But that's probably going to be, I want to say next year, because these aren't the only series I write in. I write Beyond Land and Sea. I write other books,
Yeah.
so I have to kind of factor those in.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. How like you put out a ton of work, but like it's not crap. Like how are you putting out so much work and like keeping your like does you have quality and quantity? Like I guess like what's your process? Like what's your day to day look like for writing?
I I get up, I go to the gym, I come down and write, and I may be down here till 10 at night.
Mm,
I'll
that's a
get
big
up,
day.
go out. I go do stuff. I mean, I'm not completely isolated, 7 days a week. I usually try to take like one day of the week and not do that type of stuff. I'll
Mm,
work on painting miniatures and other stuff, hobby type stuff, just to kind of clear my head.
sharpen the
But
saw.
honestly, I've usually got two books going at once, sometimes three. So right
Wow.
now, Mike Barron and I wrote Tenure, and we finished Tenure 2, and that's through the editor. That's out for some test reads with people to make sure that we didn't
Mm.
miss
That's
anything.
Mike Barron, right? The Punisher
Yeah,
writer.
yeah, yeah. Oh, he's so good. And he's actually got me started on book 3 of Tenure, which I have to take a look at sometime this weekend. I've been working on Blue Dawn 6 and the threat assessment. So I mean,
I love it.
I have two or three things in motion at one
Hmm.
point in time.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
then what happens is you get disrupted because the audiobooks come in. They're like, here, you need to take 14 hours and listen to the audiobook
yeah.
for
Right.
this and make sure that there's no mistakes. And it's like, oh, that's painful.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's just not a lot I can do while I'm listening.
Yeah.
You strap on the headphones and go.
Easy to get distracted if you're not listening, like if you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, how many words do you generally write each day?
Good question. I would say a minimum of 1,000. I have done as much as 5 or 6,000.
What's a busy day?
If you hit a roll, it's real simple. Today it was 1,000, but I had a bunch of errands I had to run and stuff, so
Hmm.
it ate into it. Tomorrow, my grandson's got a concert, so that's going to eat up a chunk of the day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll probably get 1,000 done tomorrow, and then Sunday I'll probably crank out 3 or 4,000. So, when you look at a typical book nowadays, a book is around 120,000, somewhere in that range. So
Yeah.
you're looking every 3 months producing first draft.
That's about the size I like to read. Those like books that are like 400,000 words. It's too much a
Ugh,
time sink for me to even want to read.
it is. It's too daunting, and although people love the audiobooks, they're really long because they spend their Audible credits and they're like, "Aha! I got 22 hours
Yeah.
worth of stuff," and I'm like, "Yeah,
It's like
congratulations."
eating yourself sick at the buffet so you can get your money back from the casino.
Right, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you get that Chris Christie effect at the buffet,
yeah,
where it's like, I'm
totally.
going to live here for a while. But honestly, to me, that's why we're doing the novella trilogy the way we're doing it, because I want to make something that's short. So if
Yeah,
somebody goes, look, I just want to know, am I going to enjoy this thing?
yeah,
So that one actually starts at the battle in Washington D.C.
yeah. That
So it's going to start, with a bang, but a
yeah,
different perspective of that whole fight.
yeah. That's what got me. That's how I found Land and Sea is because I was trying to jump into Warhammer and I was like, oh, this is a lot of crap here. So
Oh
I got a couple
yeah.
books into the Horus Heresy and then the whole female custodes debacle dropped and I was like, I don't want to read hundreds of books just if they don't even care about their own lore if they're just going to retcon things. And then John Douglas posted a link to Land and Sea and then the rest is history. I've been hooked since then.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun to write. It
Yeah.
is a lot of fun to write.
Yeah, I was gonna ask on the I backed the Paradise, the graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
Is it still on track? Because I think the email said it was May 2025. I don't know if that's the delivery date or the finish date, but is it still
I
kind of
think
on
it's
track for
actually
that?
going to come out earlier.
Oh, really?
I do. I really do. The black and whites are done. He's working on the inks. I don't know how long that takes because I've never been involved with this before, but I think it's going to launch earlier.
Okay.
and I'm all about that.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that happen.
I'm excited to get it.
They're doing some test mailings. I know Watcher is doing some test mailings of the miniatures
Hmm.
because we send him a couple of the production miniatures to go do that stuff with. So it's a real thing, folks.
Yeah, right. I haven't got it yet, but I ordered the issue 4 of Anvil so I could scoop up that short story that I think you wrote for them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's there is going to be a couple of anthologies that we're going to put out there. There's two that are planned. One is going to be stories from the second year of the war,
Hmm.
and there's a couple things we're looking for, but the rest I'm going to kind of open up, and I'm actually going to open that up to the fans. So if there's a fan out there that wants to be a writer type thing, you can make your pitch. You never know. This could be your shot to get a book published, or at least be a contributor to a book. The second anthology is going to build off what I did with the Anvil magazine, and that is, um, I really want to do an anthology where we cover the Immortal 12
Oh,
from the Russia-Bratva War.
that'd be cool. Yeah,
And so each one will be a story of them fighting the Russians.
that's a
And you'll get a
rich
little,
well of lore right there to dive more into.
everybody wants to go there. I get a lot of requests for it. It's not that I'm not listening, I am. But it's if we go down that rabbit hole, we will never get out the game and we'll never get land and sea going. Let's get the land and sea going. And at some point I have an idea of what I want to do. And I've told this to Brett. I really want to do a trilogy set in the Russia-Bratva War. And I have some things really planned for it. One is we're going to go back to some of the characters and show them during the war,
Hmm.
which is kind of cool because you'll see a young Adam Kane.
Yeah, and
There's some
Fulton too, right?
characters that we killed off
Yeah.
that I want to. Rickenberg. I want to show Rickenberg is going to be one of the main
Oh,
characters.
he was a badass. So that'd be cool to see.
Right. But show him when he's young and in
Hmm.
his peak and where did that legend come from?
Yeah.
And so I've got some fun stuff mapped out. We have a very detailed document of what happened during the Russia-Bratva War. It's like a 10-page document of
Hmm.
here's what happened when and how and blah blah blah. Um, it was funny. Some fan reached out to me and he said, I didn't think you were right when you said the Russians launched missiles into LA and it caught on fire and burned out entire neighborhoods until this last week. And I was like,
Oh.
yeah, it's totally possible. Believe
Yeah.
me.
It's
Uh,
it's not moist there. It's very dry.
yeah, it's very dry. My son's there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was part of the fun was going to Beverly Hills. That scene on the cover of Ratchet's Run is actually from a photograph I took when we were there
Oh, nice.
visiting my son because he works in Beverly Hills. So I was like, oh, this would be a cool spot for a fight.
Yeah. That was such a good book. That was fun. I like that a lot.
I like it because it's standalone and
Hmm.
it's not military sci-fi tends to be, oh no, something's gone wrong. We have to send in the troops. Yay, the troops go in. Oh, they faced an utter defeat, but somehow a few of them have managed to survive. Now they're recoiling, and then they go back, and then they're victorious. Yay! That
Yeah.
tends to be military sci-fi.
Yeah.
What I like about Galaxy's Edge is they don't follow any of that crap.
Hmm.
They, it is gritty and very dark and cool shit.
Yeah.
But a lot of military sci-fi follows that, and I'm like, if you want to, I like doing stuff like Ratchet's Run because it's like, look, we're gonna do a bank heist in the middle of a war.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that, so it's like, look, the book will stand out, and you'll see it with the sequel. Like I said, you get to the Dirty Dozen type thing, it'll click.
Yeah. Somebody asked. I wonder if I can click on this and bring it up. Nope. Somebody asked, will other countries, like say Russia or China, have their own version of the ETF?
Yes, absolutely, they will. And you're also going to see, especially in book 9, you get to see what other countries have done in terms of their military because the US has a certain doctrine on how they use the Ushers.
Hmm.
We've seen the sovereigns and the British, they tend to be used a certain way. When you get to some of these other countries like Greece and Turkey, you will actually get to see in the cycle chapters in book 9 what they're doing in terms of their military. Because Turkey didn't invest in Oshers, they
Hmm.
invested in aerial drones.
Kind of like Japan. They had the
Thousands,
samurai wars.
thousands, and thousands of aerial drones. And there's a reason you don't see a lot of aerial drones in our universe, which we haven't talked about a great deal. But during the Russia Bravo War, with all the stuff that we've learned with Ukraine, we've just figured out ways to knock out drones, and so the Russians. So it
Hmm.
kind of negated the aerial drone.
Yeah.
But you get to Turkey, they use them a lot, and it's in a really cool way. The Greeks only could afford 50 Oshers for their entire military, so they put them in one unit.
Yeah.
And so when they show up, they actually have shields
Let's go back 300.
and they form a phalanx.
Yeah, nice.
And I mean, it's a really, the battle for the Acropolis is a lot of fun. And I was there this year on a cruise, so it's accurate. it's
Nice.
it's like, the marshaling area, the fighting ground. I got
Yeah.
this. I was there.
I definitely like how they're like with the Gen 3s shifting a little bit, not a ton, but like more towards melee where they like the diamond plated, chain swords um,
Yeah.
and the Templar Asher had like the halberd. Some of them had halberds, I guess, not all of them,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, that'd be sweet. I mean, they didn't show. I don't think they showed. I don't think the scene showed a halberd actually being used, but
No, but we don't have to.
yeah,
Your imagination fills in the
yeah.
blanks.
You can read Servants of War. That those golem mechs use halberds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good book too. I also saw you mention somebody approached you about or Creative Juggernaut about a video game and also maybe an animation or an animated series or something along that
Yeah,
line.
that's come up a couple of times. It's the animated series thing came up once. We've had a couple of companies approach us about video games. We're kind of newbies to that arena. We're learning our way through it. Yeah, we don't have a lot of cash to dump into doing prototypes and mock-ups and stuff. We've done some scripts to do some kind of trailers type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether those will get done or not kind of depends on what they're doing. Everybody is interested in it because it's a property and it crosses multiple media now with the comic book coming out, the
Mm-hmm.
game, and the books. You go, look, this thing's already got traction in other areas, which is kind of unique. Um, but whether we end up with something, I don't know. I've seen some of the people we're talking to are big players, but you know, they operate in a very different world and a different timeline. And a lot of it is they want to produce something to try to get cash to come in to.
Uh oh, lost him. No, let me send him a new one. No. Oh no. This is a nightmare. Well, hopefully I can get him to come back. Oh, there we go. I think he's back in.
I lost you.
Yeah. All of a sudden just clicked out of there. Oh well. Oh, okay, yeah. The aliens got to Blaine. No. Fish got
No,
him.
it could happen.
All right. So we got back on. So oh yeah, okay, video games and yeah, animations. But
Yeah, I mean, they want to produce kind of a trailer type thing to see if people are interested in putting money into a project like that. We're all in favor of doing that.
yeah.
I think it'd be fun. Uh, I'm always a little worried that they will wander afar from the canon,
Yeah.
and that's always the biggest thing is. And I'm doing some other TV projects for my true crime stuff that I do with my daughter, and I've learned some very important lessons, and that is the people with the money get to make all the decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something I'm always cognizant of, and I'm watching very carefully.
Gotcha. So I was wondering about that. So like when you get I don't know, picked up for something like that, you basically just sell the licensing rights, and they basically can do whatever they want at that point.
It all depends on how the deal gets structured.
Okay.
And you get everybody's always like, oh, well, you just have to tell them you're going to retain creative control, and it's like, yeah, but when they're putting up $5 million or $6 million to do it,
Yeah.
and you're putting up nothing but providing the IP, you got to be careful because they really can just go, well, hey, it's going to be all about transgender, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, and you're going to be sitting there going, well, wait, that doesn't fit our universe, that doesn't do all this stuff. So whatever deal we do is going to have to be something that is honorable to what we've created.
Yeah. I guess not everyone's J.K. Rowling and can get such oversight on her movies and whatnot.
Yeah, some people do. I mean, you look at Terminal List, what he was on set during that, the author.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that stuff, it works out great, but some of it you end up with Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher. So, you read books, Jack Reacher's 6'8", 200 and some pounds of all muscle. And then when you get the movie, it's like, it's tiny Tom Cruise.
So the Amazon show is a lot closer to the source material then?
It's dead on
Yeah.
with who Reacher is. So,
Too bad that guy opened his mouth on Twitter and kind of ruined all the goodwill he had.
you know, I, I'm going to watch it because I like the books and I like the show. Uh, the guy's politics I don't like, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean I have to go throw him out
Yeah.
because of that. I'm already paying for Amazon Prime, so I'm getting it. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm making a conscious decision to go to a movie. If this was a movie, I might feel different
Yeah.
about spending the money and putting it in his pocket, but he's already getting paid anyway. So,
Exactly.
he's entitled to his opinion no matter how wrong it is.
Yeah. Right. I will say, I mean, he was in Blue Mountain State, and at least the first season, I think second season was good too, but that show was hilarious. Let's see here. I was gonna say, like, a lot of your stuff is very seems very like technically, I don't know, sound like, do you like bring experts in as far as like how, like, with subs or like the deep sea stuff, or like the outer space stuff, like how all that stuff works? It's I mean, I'm not an expert, but it sounds right.
It's pretty accurate. A lot of it is I'll give you a good example. When I was doing tenure, we wanted the guy to have a kick-ass rifle. So
Mm-hmm.
Mike cooked up that he was going to have this Accuracy International sniper rifle. So I said, well, if we're going to write about this, I want to hold the damn rifle and know how it works so I
Yeah.
can write about it. So I went to, uh, you know, I talked to Mike and I said, I can't find anybody that carries this gun. And he goes, dude, they make them right there in your town, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
That's where their office is. So I called them and I went in and built a sniper rifle.
That's awesome.
I mean, and I know all about it because I actually held one and put one together and saw all the component parts and did
Yeah.
all that. When I did the Galaxy's Edge book, um, one of the things I told him is it's much more of a technically accurate portrayal of Rangers and special forces and things along those lines. So I went for a week and covered Best Ranger competition. I got a media pass. Wargate helped me get it. And I went out with the Rangers for the Best Ranger competition for a week as a
Nice.
member of the media. And there were only like 3 or 4 of us there for the media.
Yeah.
So I went with the Rangers on all the ranges. I ran with them. There's some great videos of me running into a helicopter with them and, for dust off, me there when they came in and repelled in and were running right by me and stuff. But I went out and do the research. So a lot of it, I'll do the research with land and sea where I get a lot of the best ideas are the DARPA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
DARPA puts out white papers about stuff that may or may not be a technological innovation that you see on the battlefield. And all you got to do is read through it. And it's like, okay, really, if I can dumb this down a little bit so that it's digestible, it's pretty accurate. So our GRDs, man, I got to tell you, we're actually kind of close to that,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of stuff, even the shear thickening fluid, that the mechs use for the soft component of
Mm-hmm.
the Osher, the S part. That's all DARPA stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just read the stuff that's already out there. But you know, putting a railgun into space took a lot, but I talked to a couple of my friends who are in the aerospace industry and they helped me through it.
Nice.
Because they're like, yeah, there is a recoil, and yeah, that's going to be a problem, and
Yeah.
things like that. So I spend a lot of time doing that type of stuff. Some of it I don't go into the level of technical detail that I could go to because it makes it unreadable.
Yeah.
If you get down to, okay, well, we're going to show that they're switching from this bus to that bus and then rerouting through this panel and blah blah blah, it's like, oh my god, people are just going to be bored stiff. So you have to, some of the stuff I gloss down to make it so that the book's entertaining.
Yeah. For sure. As far as your fans getting to pitch an idea, just came to me. But so I was a loadmaster on C-40 Alphas in the Navy, and I've shipped dolphins and sea lions from like coast to coast and across the Atlantic. So maybe we could put like a crab or something inside. I don't know. That just came to me.
You never know.
Be flying
I,
some
I
aliens.
don't turn down any good idea. And there are some good ones out there that people have come up with that have made it into the books.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm unabashed about it. When a fan comes up, the liquid gas sniper rifles, the Trinity rifles that are
Yeah.
being used by Kane and Falto,
Mm-hmm.
that was a fan who brought that up.
Oh,
And I
really?
credit him. I credit him in the acknowledgments. He came up with. He said, "Look, we were working with this. The problem was, how do you get it to consistently fire? Because there's residue gas in the chamber. So I came up with a way that they flush the gas
Mm-hmm.
and do it. But that's an actual weapon. And I mean, you can go up and look at the experiments that they did early on with it. All I've done is take that and say, what if that got operationalized?
Yeah.
A gun that's propellant is water. So you can literally dip a siphon in a mud puddle and fire.
Yeah. That's highly efficient.
Highly efficient.
I like that. What's like the speaking of, like what's like the coolest thing that being like an author has like afforded you to do? Like whether you got to like go somewhere cool as part of like your research or whatever.
I have twice been an instructor at the U.S. Naval Academy on my military history stuff that I've written because I write nonfiction military history.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the best honor I've ever had, is to go in and lecture to the midshipmen about the subjects that I had covered. That was fun. I
Yeah.
mean, because you know, it's literally that Jack Ryan moment where you're, teaching a class at the U.S. Naval Academy. I got to be honest with you, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've done lectures at the U.S. Navy Museum, the National Archives. I've done a bunch of them at the Smithsonian. Those are all, those are all a lot of fun for me. But I would say going to the Ranger School for a week was, those guys start at 04 freaking in the morning, and if you're going to cover it, you got to go with them, and that meant a lot of running and climbing, and it was fun because by the end of the week, the rangers that are there kind of coordinating for the safety and stuff, they were dicking with me, and I felt really good about that because I'm like, if they're picking on me, that means they like me.
Yeah. Right. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
indicator.
We went. They had the rappelling tower, and it's like 6 stories tall, and they're like, "Does anybody want to go up?" And there's like three of us there with the press, and they're all like, "I want to go up. I want to go up." I'm like, I'm scared of heights, but I'm going to go up.
Yeah.
And I got all the way to the top, and they're like, "Hey, you could just lean over the edge and look." And I'm like, "I'm good." They're like, "Well, watch where you're putting your feet because sometimes these grates slip and you just drop down." And I'm like, I'm literally like, and the guy goes, "Dude, I'm just dicking with you." And they're all laughing. I'm laughing. And I'm like, okay, these guys are cool. And
Yeah.
I felt like I crossed the barrier at that point. Like, if they're dicking with me, that's okay.
Yeah.
I can deal with that. So that was, to me, just a lot of fun. And I enjoy doing the research.
Yeah.
I like rolling up my sleeves and doing it. I'd love to do more military history books, but you're talking months worth of research to do, and you're not really writing, you're researching,
Yeah.
and it eats up a lot of time. Right now I'm enjoying writing fiction. So
Hmm. Yep. I'm enjoying reading fiction, so that works out. It's kind of a mutual relationship there. Let's see. Someone brought up a good point. I mean, I don't think I've seen any like desert fights with the fish. I'm assuming they don't like the desert. But how
yeah,
would
we
the
haven't had a
hydrogen
good
rifles?
reason. We haven't had a good reason for them to go to the desert.
Okay. But so someone asked, how would the hydrogen rifles? How would you use those? I guess effectively in a place like that.
Well, they do come with a reserve of water.
Hmm.
It's just once you've used that up, they're probably not the weapon you want to take out on a desert combat.
Okay.
You know,
Nice. Let's see. We're getting pretty close to an hour here. Let's see. I think we might have rocked almost through all my questions.
get out.
6 books. Favorite character? He said that one. What about like deep sea? Because like a lot of those times when you're doing like the under with the tridents and stuff. Oh, here's a question I have that I can't figure out. What mech or what trident rig is on the cover of Storm Surge?
That is the tiger shark.
Okay, that was my guess, but I could not figure it out for sure.
That's the
Uh,
tiger shark. You know, you almost have, if you get the art for it, you have to zoom in and you'll see the tiger shark logo.
oh, okay. Um, yeah, nice. Are they? I was gonna say I think my favorite part of at least top two, probably top three, was the was Titus Hill in that. I think was it the Pegasus,
Oh
the
yeah,
attacks, or I don't even know, like the fighter jet sub basically.
yeah.
Are those gonna come back again? Because those like some of my favorite
Those
scenes.
those have been making an appearance. You will get to see one of those with Victor Langman in book 9. You know, because the Proteus is one of those, and he'll
Hmm.
be out with the Proteus. And all I can tell you is you're going to get to see some combat in that book that is just not anticipated. One of the things I love about an ensemble cast like this is I can take two characters that you don't think I'd ever be able to put together, and I'll find a way to put them together.
Yeah,
And you get some great chemistry from it. And a good example of that is Slade with O'Malley.
yeah.
You know,
Or
it's
Fulton
like
and
in a
Cece.
million. Yeah, yeah. Well, and you're going to see, yeah, Bianca Cordova and Cece are two that will be together
Oh, okay.
often in book 9, because they're going through this. They're both going through training at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're going to get to see what happens when they both go back to L.A. because that's where Bianca is going to be reassigned. So there's going to be some fun stuff. I love the whole vibe of doing O'Malley with this, and there's a great opportunity with Victor to have. I always planned it, and I was like, this is going to be so much fun to write, and it was, because it's not your typical Trident combat. I mean, he's
Mm-hmm.
literally standing on the sub while it's on the surface fighting some mermen, and I mean, it's slow motion brawling type stuff, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's a cool character. I like him a lot. Um,
He's a fun character. It's dark, and I had a couple people say, they really like the fact that at least touched on military suicides,
mm-hmm.
at the
Oh,
end of
because
that
yeah, I
book.
don't remember his name, but the other character that dropped the nuke.
Yeah, the other guy who dropped the nuke, and those guys are all based on, Paul Tibbitz's crew and the crew of the boxcar from the bombing runs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff they went through after the war, and they were killing humans, but this had the same effect. You drop these bombs on, drop the bombs on a colony, and then the fish set off an earthquake and a tsunami and killed millions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a crazy response. That's so intense.
Oh, Brent, it was so fun because I said, "Look, I just need to know what tectonic plates I can destroy." Yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just tell me what I can do and where I can do it, and then that's going to determine where the characters are and blah blah blah." And Brent lives in Seattle, so I mean, I said, "Give me a rundown of the good locations for battle." And Brent wrote a 20-page document on the history of the Battle of Seattle. And I'm like, dude, I didn't need all this. And he goes, yeah, but we have it now, you know?
Yeah, nice. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, I just brain farted. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, with O'Malley, man, he's such a cool character because like he gives us like a whole new perspective because he's going into these like abandoned buildings and you see like rotted refrigerators and you get the idea of like how much like our logistics and infrastructure is like broken down and like how like some people are like emaciated, like hiding out in their buildings and stuff. And then just like the moral like dilemma with him. Like he's like a good
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
but he's doing like really messed up stuff at the same time. But like I don't know. I think
Well, he
I love
comes
him.
from a bad cop family. You
Yeah.
know, his dad left him. I love the leaving of the brass knuckles to his son, you know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I like that where it's like, just be prepared to pick up some teeth.
Yeah. I love the ending with him in that room with that CIA guy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, get ready to pick up some teeth. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
And I like that about him. O'Malley's a good guy, but this is not a war for good guys.
Yeah.
And the role of the police officer, is almost as cool as the military guys,
Mm.
because they're doing stuff like fighting off food riots. And there's a twist with that character that shows up in the very end of of book 9, because I have to tie all these storylines down, at least give some conclusion that Brent hasn't read it yet, and I think it's going to shock him when he does, because there's
Mm.
just some things about that character that you're going to get to see a whole new level of darkness there that
Yeah.
none of us have ever seen, and what this war has done to people.
Yeah. That's got to be kind of a cool thing for Brent because like Lane sees kind of like at least like the general idea is his right, like the aliens invading the
Yeah.
fish, but like I feel like it's like when you give like an art idea to like a tattoo artist and you see what they give you back. I feel like maybe that's like how he gives you guys this idea and then you come back with all this crazy cool stuff. That's got to be kind of
Well,
cool
we
for him.
talked like about book 9. I said there's really two major scenes. One I just talked to you about with Victor Langman, and I said there's another great scene in this book that would make covers, and he was like, "Well, why don't we do two covers? Maybe we'll do the hardcover with a different cover, and do the soft cover or a different cover." So we're exploring some kind of cool nuances to that, or do a limited edition run
Yeah.
of a certain cover, just because there really are a couple really neat scenes
Yeah, I was gonna
with some
ask.
characters that we're all going to like.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys would do like a special edition or like a box set for maybe at least one of the trilogies or like every book that's out so far.
I don't know as much a box set. I definitely would like to see them bundled for Kindle,
Mm-hmm.
where you get all 3 books for a price.
Yeah.
Uh, but I kind of trust the Wargate guys on that stuff. They know this business inside now,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I was getting throttled with tenure. My social media accounts were getting throttled because of the subject matter and stuff, and
Yeah.
they caught that and helped us resolve that really quickly. I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, I don't understand why sales are so weirdly low.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, because every time you post about it, no one's seeing it. I'm
Gotcha.
like, what?
Yeah, I'm loving Wargate. I mean, Land and Sea is the first series of theirs that I've read, and then I jumped to Galaxy's Edge. So far they're batting 1,000.
Oh, they drew me in with the whole Galaxy's Edge concept, because we first talked. I had gotten ditched by BattleTech, and I had 5 publishers reach out to me and say, "Hey, we just want to write. We want to be in business with you." And everybody wanted to do it a slightly different way. One company was like, "We'd like you to write in our universe." One was like, "We want you to write for us, but change your name." And it was like, well, and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, all this woke stuff out there, this will help. And I was like, forget that. I'm not changing my name. And we already had the trilogy done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, and Wargate was just like, we want to be in the Blaine Pardoe business. And if there's an opportunity, let us know. And I was like, well, I do have this trilogy. Womp. And they're like, really? Okay. And Walt went through the first book like in a day and a half, and he was like, okay, we're signing you up.
Nice.
And and it's been great. And I loved the discussions I've had with Nick and Jason about the Galaxy's Edge universe, and their approach to it is it's kind of like Star Wars, and I would say to a certain degree now Warhammer,
Yeah.
but it's told from a very different perspective.
Hmm.
Star Wars always tells you, oh, the Rebel Alliance perspective. Their version is we're going to tell you what it's
The
like if
Empires.
you're if from the Empire's perspective,
Yeah.
or the ground troops perspective. And
I love
I
ground troop
like that
perspectives.
approach. I liked it. And there's wait till you get to the Savage Wars trilogy,
Hmm.
man. That was really good stuff. I mean, I was like, this is some of the best writing I've read in a long time. Uh, and they just the guys are a lot of fun to work with. And I
Hmm.
mean, I called them on the threat assessment and I was like, look, I got this idea. It's not a normal book. It's a guide to the aliens. And
Yeah.
they're like, okay, let's do it. I mean, they were just like, we'll figure out a way to do it. It might be staple bound. It might be this. It might be that. We'll figure it out. And I'm like, all right, cool. It's like you want to work with people that are there and have your back. And
Hmm.
these guys have my back. And I've steered a number of authors to them that, you know, and stuff. So, it works both ways. We're all good friends here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really read books that had like collaborating authors until last year, but since then I've read a bunch and I'm liking this whole collaboration thing. Is that like a new thing or has it always been kind of around?
It's always around. Bain Books is really big on if you want to come write for them, even if you're established, even if you've been on a New York Times bestseller list or whatever, they're like, well, we want you to do a book with somebody
Hmm.
first,
Yeah.
an established Bain writer type thing. And I'm like, I if I were to pick who I could do that with, that would be different. I probably be all over that.
Yeah.
Um, but Wargate just does it. I mean, I wrote this up and they were like, we want to tweak it. Do you mind if we co-author it with you? I'm like, do whatever, yeah,
Hmm.
it's your universe. If it's going to be too time consuming for you to tell me what to tweak, by all means, open the file, put your name on it, and go for it.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want a good story out there. I don't have an ego big enough to where I've got to go, oh no, you can't touch this. This is sacred
Yeah.
words and stuff. And I've got the editor I have over at Wargate, Lauren, is just the best editor I've ever worked with. Period. Any genre, any publisher. She's literally the best.
Nice.
She enjoys reading the books, tells you the parts in her notes while I love this dialogue, or this is oh, this went dark here, I'm a little concerned about the character, you're getting that kind of feedback as you go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like all the. I think some of my favorite parts are like all the little acronyms that you guys slip in, like TDDB or like KTF in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
I,
oh
I love
yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. Let me get
Well,
some. Go ahead.
stack them high, stack them
Stack
deep.
them deep. I just got. I just. Yeah. I just got past that part.
I did. One of the things I do, if you follow Nick on Twitter, I recommend you follow Nick Cole.
I
He's
just
always
started following him.
every day he does, gladiator training. You got to learn new skills. So I learned leathercraft this year. So I was
Hmm.
like, I'm 62. I'm not taking up sword fighting.
Yeah.
Uh, and but I work out all the time, but I always try to take on different crafts. And I always at Christmas time send these guys whatever craft I'm working on. So for 2 years it was pottery. I've hit my limit of what I can do pottery wise. But we did flasks. Like I'll show you. I've actually got. We did these really cool flasks and mugs. So like I sent them
Dude,
it's hard
that's
to see. It's got the Asher wings on
yeah.
it, and we did coffee mugs one year with the
Nice.
tiger shark logo on them and stuff. So
Now, will
we
those be
did
on the
that.
Wargate shop? Can we pick those up or?
I have spares. I'm not prepared to sell anything that I do like that. This year I did leather and I sent Nico or Jason a wallet and it's got the logo for the unit. that's in the Lost Legion
Hmm.
on I had it laser. I had to learn how to do laser burning too. I have that on the outside. When you open it up, it says stack them high, stack them deep
Yeah.
on the inside. So
Is that the
yeah,
444th?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just having so much fun. I mean, it just is fun to play with the units, and it's a fun. Their universe is such a huge tapestry,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. There's just a lot of fun places to play. So
Yeah, I like all the different aliens they got. They got some cool species. I just read a Kill Team, and I was reading the Z, and I was like, these sound like an analog for jihadists, like straight up, just they're just jihadists. So I thought that was pretty funny.
some things you don't hide.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, somebody, the wrong person picks this book up, they're gonna blow their top. They're
Oh yeah.
gonna go.
Well,
Ree.
yeah, it's I like what they've done with the universe, and Walt and I've had some discussions about some of the directions they're going, and it's just phenomenal. They got a plan, and I like where they're going with it. I
Yeah,
just think it's the right thing, and it's the right thing at the right time.
yeah. Let me get some of the. There's a couple questions here I could probably hit.
Okay.
Will the Gulf of Mexico remain such in the series, or will it be the Gulf of America?
Wow. It's got to be Gulf of America, guys.
Yeah. I don't think you haven't
Yeah,
like I don't think you've mentioned it so far, have you?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I no, we haven't had a naval operation down there, but yeah, it's going to be the Gulf of America.
that's awesome.
Now, I the one thing I won't change are the military bases over to the modern stuff.
Hmm.
Fort Bragg is Fort Bragg. I'm not calling it Fort Moore yet.
Yeah,
A lot of that is me just being a stubborn asshole,
yeah,
and I'm not going to change just because, for all I know, they're going to roll these names back. In
yeah,
all fairness,
yeah. I know. You hear like a lot of times you'll see like authors will get you'll see their politics kind of come through too much in their writing. And I don't see that with yours, but I saw one part there. I mean, it's funny when you do it. So it's like it was in the Flotsam of War. It was the Marine officer with the pronouns. Oh, that was so funny.
oh, I think the one place did let it slip was the Canadian ship that's name was Trudeau's Oppression.
I don't. Oh,
And I've had so many Canadians thank me for
yeah.
that.
That's a good one. That's a question I forgot. I was gonna like so speaking of like the Warhammer debacle with like the female custodies and the pushback they got. You see, like a lot of people are always like, "Oh, you just hate women in your fiction," or like obviously you got Natalia Falto, Bianca, CC. Like
Yeah,
obviously we don't hate them, and where you're actually guys like you or like Larry Correa are actually really good at putting females in your fiction that not only kick ass but kick ass in a way that makes sense and isn't like cheesy and lame, and don't make
right.
the dudes around them seem like retards in order for them to be cool. Do you get like I don't know, like the wokies come after you for your depiction of women, or they try to tell you that you I don't know can't
Oh,
write women?
absolutely. The one question I got from somebody is they're like, how many trans characters do you have in your series, and how many are you going to have in the next 2 years? And I was like,
Is it a serious question?
first of all, that's a trap question because there's you know to me you have to bear in mind somebody's sexual preference, unless it's key to the story itself, which 99% of the time it's not.
Yeah.
Um, it, their sexual preference is just a trait. It's not the thing that defines the character.
Hmm.
It's just like I don't go, well, I'm writing about you. Clearly you're a heterosexual and you prefer blondes and you're a boob guy and blah blah blah. And, that's not what defines you as a character. Those are just traits that you
Yeah.
have. And I have gay characters in the Blue Dawn series. I have a gay character. I think 90% of the people probably missed every reference to that because
Yeah.
it's not a big part of that character's life. And it has nothing to do with her running a military operation.
Yeah.
You know, it, I think these wokies they look for things to be offended about,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so and if they don't get them, they fish for them. They send little messages like this, and I ignore them. I've had a couple people be like, "Oh, you're not portraying women right," and it's like I, I've been around women my whole life. I think I think I'm fairly accurate. I'm not going to do a Mary Sue character
Yeah.
just because that's what you think I should be doing. My women characters are tough as shit. Falto's arc is so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see in book 9 it gets even more complicated
Well, the end of
than
book
what
8
you
was, I was
thought.
like, what is she doing with that new alien? That's,
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're like I said, I got to tie a ribbon on all that stuff. And there's some, you know, Falta. There's certain characters I want to see all the way through, whether they're old men and women when we get to take the fight out to the bad guys. I want there. I want Falto is one of those. Keen is one of those. Slade is one of those. There's a couple of them that I think are kind of these core characters that kind of carry us,
Yeah.
and that becomes important.
100%. And like what also I like is it's like your female characters don't just like win all the time. Like they get their asses kicked and go through hell and
I
lose.
cut Falto apart.
Yeah. Or like Cordova, she's got to go back through training because she messed up so bad.
Yeah, and everybody knows it,
Yeah.
and nobody's happy about it. And Bianca Cordova, I've always known people that had that kind of luck where it's like they go to the fair and they throw a quarter in on the fish bowls and they hit them and they win, and they always come back with all the prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, how the hell can these people do this? But when the luck runs out, it's rough,
Yeah.
and she has a tough lesson to learn. And that's hard to do. And I think the fun part I've been having with Cece is, and I told Brent because I know he's going to be reading it, and I said, we've all forgotten that Cece's now a 17-year-old girl,
Mm-hmm.
but we see glimpses of her grabbing onto that. She's got the Barbie doll that
Yeah.
she carries and puts in her cockpit now and stuff, but she's still a 17-year-old kid. And even though she's been raised like now in a military conflict for 2 years,
Yeah.
she's still going to be a wise ass kid and do stuff that's hurtful and harmful and stuff because she's still a kid,
Yeah.
and you're going to get a piece of that in book 9. And I really like that part because I was like, these are real people and they come with all of the flaws that real people have, and they have all of the great glorious things that real people have. Falto, people are like, they love Falto. Think about the first trilogy. She fought in one battle
Yeah. Yeah.
and lost
Yeah.
and lost. And the rest of the series is her just losing parts of her body,
Yeah.
you know, and her mind and everything else,
Yeah. And her
going against the fish.
friends that she
But
managed to
people,
find down under the ocean.
yeah, and people are like, but she's one of my favorite characters. And I'm like, she didn't do anything,
Yeah.
but I get it,
Yeah.
and that was what I wanted. I wanted people to be able to go, I'm kind of rooting for her because she's already gone through so much.
Mm-hmm.
My job's just to entertain. That's all I'm here to do is make guys like you and other people who read this stuff. I just want them to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's
our day jobs are just a bitch.
yeah.
So, go off and have some fun and enjoy some escapism.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the like you and the only other person I've had on here is Eric, but it's like all the guys at Creative Juggernaut. I think you guys are really involved with your fans. Like you guys reach out or you respond. It's great to
Yeah,
see.
all the time. I like it. It's fun. This is a hobby for me and it pays a little money on the side, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah,
So, if you're having a good time, let me know. If there's things you would think we can do better, let me know. You come up with a really cool weapon, let me know. I may stick it in the damn book.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I, I can't always pull the curtain back and show you like, oh, let me show you the schematic we have for blah blah blah.
yeah,
Can't do that, but you know, I, I'll I will tell you, book 9 should have the same impact that Storm Surge had. I want a couple people crying at the end. I want a couple
hmm
people going, "Oh damn, I didn't realize how screwed up that character really
yeah,
was." Like, wow, that I want the gut punch. I
yeah.
want it.
I will say I did like Storm Surge. Felt like it had a kind of like, I mean, obviously not super hopeful, but it had a little bit of a hopeful ending. Like we kind of like finally got like a hit against them where we didn't totally lose our asses in that
Right.
victory, So there was like a little bit of a hopeful feeling, and then obviously that went away real quick. But it,
Well, but we've been fighting. It's 2 years into the fight, and we're fighting a war of attrition.
yeah, and they keep coming up with
Yeah,
new stuff to throw at us, but we're like trying to catch up with the last thing they gave us.
yeah, but that's you look at like World War I, the evolution of just aviation technology that
Hmm.
that took place in that during that war was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like every 6 months, every airplane was obsoleted and replaced by new aircraft. I mean, it's amazing to watch, and so mankind does step up,
yeah,
you know. But there's some real gut punch. I mean, we left a lot of cliffhangers,
yeah, a
you know,
lot.
in the last book. I mean, the death of Sparky was rough.
Yeah,
That was
they honestly
rough.
they kind of were inching Kane out as my favorite POV because I love the whoop ass, and I really liked like the like the tank cruise. That's a great POV. I love that stuff. But yeah, that bummed me out. I was like, oh no.
Oh, there's a lot of personal reasons that had to happen, and it was always the plan to do it, and I was like, yeah, I need to do it in this book because everybody's got to go through a journey,
Yeah.
and in the end, this was Thun's journey,
Hmm.
and his journey's a little. Sparky was part of it, but
Yeah.
they got their start in Flotsam of War,
Yeah.
so it's like they start there and then they're on the main stage, but people are going to die in this.
Hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
that's the other thing. And we're not unashamed. I'm not trying to kill people for the sake of killing people.
they're going the
Their
Game of
death
Thrones
has to
route.
have a reason,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's rough.
Um, yeah, we're about an hour and 20, so
Okay.
this might be my last question.
All
I know you
right.
got Declan Finn. Do you have any other authors lined up to put in some more entries besides
I
the
have
fan?
some guys I want to approach.
Hmm.
I really want to use the anthology that we do where we invite fans to be able to contribute and
Hmm.
other writers to be kind of a culling ground for us to find some people to tell some of the next stories.
Hmm.
I came up through the ranks of BattleTech, starting as a writer and being a fan of BattleTech, and it's a much better experience if you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a job. I really enjoy this universe and I want to tell this story. So we're going to open that up and see what we can get. If we don't do that, there's a bunch of writers that I know that I really want to engage with. It all depends on if a lot of the guys I know are cranking out books at the same pace I do. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we have to schedule something 3 years from now type
Yeah.
thing. So that part's a little rough, but
Yeah.
I've got some guys in mind.
Nice. And then I guess kind of to piggyback on that one, I know like so far we've gotten all the books have been like multiple POVs. Are there any books coming out where it's like one POV?
I think you're going to get most of that. Yeah, I think the novella piece is going to be one point of view.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to tell because it's the novella trilogy to get people into this is just it's really telling one guy's story.
Hmm.
So you're really going to be focused in on that one guy. I have a number of people that have commented on that. I've seen them on Amazon, and they're like, "There's too many characters. I can't keep track of this." And I'm like, "Dude, if I want to tell what's going on in the whole world, I have to have a huge ensemble cast. There's no way to take just one of these guys and tell just that story."
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's a
I'm
great
always
message.
going to lean for the bigger story that way, but
Hmm.
I think that the trilogy will only focus on the one character's perspective.
Okay. Cool. I like that. And then for the fans that want to try or other writers, where do they like apply to try and submit their ideas or?
We haven't put anything
Oh, okay.
together for that, but I'm going to be announced. When we get to the point where we get to that anthology, I'm going to put together some guidelines for it and post it up on Facebook, Reddit, and well, not Reddit, no, Discord, and some of the other
Not
places.
Reddit.
Not Reddit. Good God, Reddit's a wasteland.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I went there today for because I had to. Somebody had posted something about me, and I wanted to at least read it. And oh God, what a horrible sight! I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like it's so toxic.
Yeah, the only thing I
Yeah.
follow is on X. Is there's like a Reddit account that like basically makes fun of Redditors, like posts all the dumb things that Reddit says. That's like the only exposure I give myself to Reddit.
It's wild. It's a wasteland.
Yeah. Oh, here's a question that there's actually an answer in the books. Not, I mean, along these lines: are Long John Silvers and Red Lobsters popular in land and sea?
No,
But they do
I
try
don't
to eat the
understand.
fish. Is it in
Yeah,
the Flotsam
they
of War?
tried to eat the fish and flotsam,
Yeah.
and yeah, you if somebody asks you to eat the crab, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't understand how Long John Silver's is still open.
It's like Chuck E. Cheese. Can't force them out of
Yeah,
business.
well, they opened a new one here in Fredericksburg like a year ago, and I'm like, why? I mean, I've never seen a car in front of it, but I know, but the sign says open.
They're smuggling
And
drugs through there.
Red Lobster, I don't know if they're going to be in business, in the next few years. We're going to see, you do get glimpses of some stuff that are contemporary. I had a lot of fun putting Elon Musk in um, book 7. That
Yeah.
was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
just for a cameo. Um, I enjoy stuff like that.
Nice. Well, yeah, I think that's all I got for tonight. I again
All right.
appreciate it. Like, Splashdown was the first book that I reviewed like for my channel. So Land and Sea kind of kicked off my YouTube channel. So appreciate you coming on, and yeah, I
No problem.
love all the work you do, and gonna keep hammering out on the Lost Legion probably after this.
All right, cool.
All right. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Have a great night.
You too. Talk to you soon.
See ya.